You're live. There it goes. It took off. It had a longer runway than usual.
Yeah.
Greetings, folks. Welcome back to Matrix Talk. We don't have any fancy intros or music or anything. I was listening to a podcast this morning and it had all this glitzy music and all this stuff.
Cool graphics, you know.
We're simple.
It's just us.
We're simple.
Just us.
But we do run the Act Matrix Academy, and that's always available in the green button below. And that's this teach stuff, and that's specifically about acceptance and commitment training and therapy. How we teach that is with something called the Matrix. But
like that.
Or it looks like that. And so we'll run through it real quick and then get to our topic. But then you'll see the topic, literally. So we're going to start with, you draw 2 lines. You can do this at home. If you're listening and not seeing this in video form,
yeah, right.
You draw a vertical line and then you cut it in half with a horizontal line. That creates 4 spaces, quadrants, if you want to use the technical term. And the way we do it is in the lower right, we write the question, who's important to you or who's important to me if I'm doing it in the first person. Basically, who's important goes in the lower right. So I'll say, my wife is important to me. So you write that down. And whoever comes to mind that might be important to you.
Yeah.
And then people ask us, well, how about my dog? Well, of course, put your dog down. Cats, parrots, or whatever. We're expansive with who. And in the lower left now, and in this right now, the lower left has nothing to do with the right. It's just the lower left. And you're just answering the question, what kind of yucky stuff shows up inside of it? So we all have fear. But Phil has already written down fear. And then you put the other stuff that shows up inside of yourself, like, I don't know, anxiety, sadness, anger. It's a long list.
Those are the biggies.
We can go on and on and on. Phil and I have done this a few thousand times with audiences, and it's a long list. So now when you go to the top, it's behaviors. And so what you're doing is paying attention to your behaviors. And you're asking this question in the upper left, which is, well, what kind of things do I do? Behaviors do I do to get relief from the yucky stuff? And we've been talking about one, I know it. So I'm feeling anxious, so I check my phone.
Oh, yeah.
And people go, and folks, that's huge these days. It's huge as a relief move, for all kinds of stuff. If I'm bored, I check my phone.
All purpose.
If I'm worried, I check my phone. If I'm in pain, I check my phone. It's a go-to pill, a little dose of dopamine for you. But there's other stuff. Maybe I feel anxious, so I go take a walk, get out in nature. Highly recommended. It's getting out in nature, but oftentimes that's a relief move. And it might also be exercise. So that brings us to the upper right, which is, well, what kind of stuff do I do for who's important to me, including myself, or kids or pets or whatever. What do I do? Well, I take a walk for myself. Great. Oh, yeah, but that also relieves my anxiety. And that, my friends, is called a twofer. Meaning you're getting some exercise, accomplishing something you would like to accomplish. That feeling of accomplishment, we have it as a satisfaction, but at the same time, you're getting some relief of anxiety. So there you go. And those are the 4 main things and here it comes, that you're noticing. So right in the middle, we draw a circle and we put the word notice or noticing. And we just realize that I can notice any of this stuff at any moment in any time, as long as I'm awake. So I can notice who's important to me. And I can notice yucky stuff inside of me. And I can notice if I'm doing a relief move. And I can notice if I'm doing a satisfaction accomplishment. Just like that, I can notice all that stuff. And that's what this is for. And you'll notice that the title of this I almost said podcast, it's the Crowdcast, is the Matrix Model, MODEL, model. And that came up because we heard it, what we do, referred to as the Matrix Model. And I looked into it, and they were indeed doing what we teach to do with the Matrix, but the folks had renamed it for us into the Matrix Model. So I looked up, well, what's a model? Well, it's like a model airplane or a model anything. So it just made sense that the model is you. You are creating this little model of you. And just like a model airplane or something, you can now pick it up and look at it. And that's what Phil is doing right now. He's holding it up. Now, the great thing about this model is you can do it in your head as well.
Yes.
You happen to be doing something else, you can just
up in here,
show up inside of your prefrontal cortex probably and notice who's important, yucky stuff, relief behaviors, and satisfaction behaviors. Just do it. But nevertheless, it's always a model of the self. Phil and I often joke that all we're running around doing is handing mirrors out to people.
Yeah, right. Little opportunity, self-reflection, little thingies.
It's a self-reflection exercise.
Yeah.
What it is. And so instead of a physical mirror that we hand to them,
right,
we hand to them this instead and say, well, fill out these 4 quadrants. Now you can expand it a little bit. You'll notice, if you're seeing this, you'll see at the top it says senses. If you're not seeing this, just realize that at the top of the vertical line is the word senses. We usually talk about the 5 senses. And at the bottom of the vertical line is mind. So that's the difference between what's coming in through your 5 senses versus what's coming in through your mind. Okay. It's actually a very important difference to notice. But there's another one, and we've already referred to it, but it's cool to notice the difference between how it feels to get relief versus how it feels to get satisfaction. And once again, I'll say that sense of accomplishment. And when you do something, and you can notice the difference. There's quite the difference between getting relief versus feeling satisfied. There's a difference.
Yep.
And say, well, what do I do with that? Oh, you notice it. Now, if you're like most people, that will drive you nuts. Why? Because it's too damn simple.
Yep.
But that's your mind. And at the bottom,
here.
That's your mind telling you it's too damn simple. It's not the rest of your being. And Phil just said, as we were coming on, he said, what we humans aren't very good with is the patience to wait and let stuff show up. And that's what this is. You do this enough, and you gradually get the hang of letting life show up. Why? Because your mind wants to project into the future and get all worried, anger,
yep. Anticipating dread.
Anticipating the worst.
Yeah, anticipating dread, disappointment, all that.
And then we're living in the future and we're having emotions as if they were really happening,
Really going on.
and it's ruining your present moment.
We're generating our own misery.
We humans are really,
We're
really
really good at it. Oh man,
I mean, we're top notch at that.
absolutely. Card carrying experts.
And we're born that way. And it's really important to act, acceptance, and commitment. So, and relational frame theory, which is the theory of language, it's language that's the problem. That you think to yourself, and that allows these emotions to show up.
There they are.
And there they are. And the emotion doesn't discriminate between that you thought it up.
Nah, it don't care.
Versus something's really happening in your environment.
It's equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Treats everything the same.
It does. It does. The limbic system has no discrimination. It's just feelings. That's it. It's your prefrontal cortex that goes, what might this be?
Yeah.
It does all that. But here's what it is. You say, well, what do Kevin and Phil mean by letting stuff show up? Well, it's really letting learning show up. Learning what works in life to get you where you want to go. That's life, folks. We all are going about this learning. And here comes the prefrontal cortex online, learning to get where we want to go. Well, so people get impatient with that. Well, I want to learn it all right now. Well, that would be the same as, well, I want to be an expert at disc golf right now.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever thrown disc before? No. Well,
never even picked one up, as a matter of fact.
I can lecture you all day long and even show you films all day long, but not going to happen.
Disc golfing is not occurring.
Right. So I switched to that kind of sports metaphor because we treat all life, we ignore that almost everything in life requires lots of failures before you get success. I mean, the first time you even throw a disc, you'll probably screw it up.
Oh.
I mean, even in your backyard, throwing it. Yeah. You'll screw it up.
Right in the dirt, or you hit the person next to you, or whatever. Right?
Yeah, that you. Oh yeah. Shit! Sorry.
Sorry.
And that's what used to be known as frisbee. Still, there's a learning curve to it. Okay, well, there's a huge learning curve to life, and we don't want to let it show up.
Nope.
We want to learn it all right now.
We want the cheat code. Give me the cheat code.
I want the injection.
Yeah. Intravenous.
Yeah, give it to me. Give me the expertise. And so all of these education methods that we then fall back on, which is lecturing, or giving somebody a book, or using the Socratic method.
Right.
Asking people questions.
Mm.
For most of life, it doesn't work worth a crap.
No.
In all honesty, it doesn't work. You need to do things and notice the consequences. So that whole preamble I just did was about just that statement. You do a behavior and you notice how it works. That is, you're asking the question, is it getting me where I want to go with it? And there's no way every single behavior that you do will do that, because we are wired to get relief. And there are many, many, many relief moves that have absolutely nothing to do with getting you where you want to go in life. Some of them are really cool for getting you out of the way of oncoming buses.
Good.
Keeps you alive for the next day and all that. But for the most part, picking up your phone and checking your phone, it's not, no. It's not getting you anywhere right there. So you're going to do those.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to do it. You just want to notice them and notice if they're working where you want to go. Notice some other behavior and notice if it is a satisfaction kind of behavior, but even all of those don't work. I hate to admit that, Phil, but not everything I've tried to do has worked.
Yeah. Like trying to meet someone, get into a relationship.
I'm being sarcastic.
Back in the day. Oh, man.
Like most of what we do on that side doesn't work.
No.
It's called learning through failure, folks.
Yep.
And why does failure work so well? Because it's painful. And pain, there ain't no better teacher than pain.
Yep.
And we all know it, and that's the way we do it. So back to it. So we're not proposing you be in pain or do anything. We're not proposing you do anything. But we do offer you up that little picture, that model, called the matrix model. The model, create the little model of yourself, and then notice. And stuff will show up.
It always does.
And we make no guarantee about nothing.
We have
can't say that from our own histories and the histories of literally thousands of people that we've heard from, that I don't know what shows up. Noticing shows up. There you go. And a bit more patience to allow things to develop. That's probably a nice, but almost everybody experiences that, which, by the way, doesn't really sound like rockets.
No. Choirs of angels do not.
Or epiphanies or whatever. It ain't that.
Nope.
It's a calmness. It's a little bit zen. Let's put it that way. A little bit zen. Of noticing and allowing stuff to show up. You're going to do stuff. You're human, so you're going to do stuff. You're just going to notice as you do stuff. That's how. But you do it by creating a model of yourself, holding the model up and in a way, twisting it around and looking at yourself from different views.
So you're just kind of
right. And that's why the matrix model. Use the matrix model. Well, it is a model of yourself. You can do a second one, a second loop, or a second matrix if you want to work with a couple or a group, and then you do that. You can do that as well. But that would be creating a model of you working with somebody else. And then we now each individual is going to be doing the noticing, but we're going to collaborate in noticing if what we're doing is getting us where we want to go. And this brings us to another point. And Bill's drawing it up. It says the lower right becomes what's our shared purpose. Lower left is still yucky stuff. Upper left is still relief moves. Upper right, now it's very specific. The upper right is what behaviors can we do to accomplish our shared purpose. And then we notice all that. Okay. Phil and I know from both matrices that lower right quadrant, like who's important to you or what's our shared purpose, those babies are slippery.
Oh, man.
They slide right out of your awareness. And in no time, you don't have those in the forefront. And they slip. And we've seen this in organizations. This is just a
huge issue.
Huge problem. We cannot stress enough how big a problem that is in organizations, that they do not manage to keep track of shared purpose. I mean, remember when they had, what was it, those statements they called mission statements?
Oh, yeah.
And they would write them up and make a big poster of it.
Right.
And nobody ever read them.
And walk right past them.
once it's there for a little while, it just disappears.
You're blind to it. Right.
And so that's not the way to do it. It's you have to have some system in your own life or in your group's life to be reminded of shared purpose. So the reminder for myself is to somehow figure out how I'll stop and ask myself the question, who's important? That starts the whole ball rolling.
Right back here.
If you're working with somebody else, you're in a couple or something, you stop and ask, well, what's our shared purpose? And it's a behavior accomplishing the shared purpose. That's learning, by the way, folks. The main thing that we really all call learning is that. It's some goal, something. I want to learn how to play disc golf. I'm going to go out,
get a disc,
and practice.
Find a place to throw it.
Right, and through repetition and learn. To see how it works, I can get my purpose. Well, maybe I want a disc golf team. Well, now we have a team of disc golf.
Now we have a disc golf shared purpose.
Right, and we have a shared purpose. Right, so we have that. And we only say this, people listening in the future, is that that lower right is slippery. It gets away from the inverted.
Even for the individual.
And on the individual level, absolutely. So, who's important to me goes away.
Yep. I'm thinking, Kevin,
what's that?
People have been talking recently about the matrix model, and for years and years, we have also referred to this as a learning model. It's a
we have. Yes.
So maybe that's what they're tapping into.
What's that?
Maybe that's what they're tapping into.
It probably is. Now that brings back an episodic memory for me.
Oh, exciting.
Episodic means like an episode.
Right? Yeah.
And there's these, you have this picture of this episode.
You're watching Kevin having an episode.
Right. And I walked in. Back then, I was running the post-traumatic stress disorder intensive program at a VA. Okay. And so every morning we would meet. And at that time, we were meeting every morning and talking about how to implement ACT. And I must have been playing with the Matrix by then. And I come walking into that meeting one day and just announce, this is nothing but a learning model. And I later on got to ask Steve Hayes that very question. Steve Hayes is credited with being the creator of acceptance and commitment training and therapy, and he wholeheartedly agreed with it. Because it is, it's built on learning, meaning, and folks, if you don't know the way I built it, over on the left, that's what's known as negative reinforcement. Okay, on the left. And that's a trick. That's a tough question on intro psych, because they
always get that one wrong.
Right, that's punishment or something. No, that's the removal of an aversive stimuli. That's what the negative refers to, taken away. So I'm shocking you, and you do something, like press a lever, and the shock goes away. Negative pulls it away, and you go. There's the word right there on Phil's thing. Relief.
This is better. This is better.
Any of you have ever taken a painkiller or something? That'd be, or gotten a splinter out of your finger or something. That's what it is. That's that learning part. And on the other side is positive reinforcement, meaning accomplishment. You get something. I accomplished getting.
Yay! Achievement unlocked.
And so it's just a learning model. That's all it is. And here it comes again, Phil. most of us don't want to wait for the
No,
learning to show up.
no. I want my learning to happen yesterday.
I want my learning now, if you please. or yeah, even better, yesterday.
Yeah,
Then I don't have to worry about today.
that's right. It's already there.
Right. So much of this, so what we mean by waiting for things to show up, you could probably say it just like about how I'm about to say it. You're waiting for the learning to show up.
Yes.
Well, can't I just go for an hour's lecture and get it all? No. Can I? And I'm like, no. There's really not very much.
No.
I mean, the hour lecture might give you some pointers on how to get started.
Yeah, it'll point you maybe in a direction.
It points you in the right direction. But it's not going to get the learning done. And life is not that way. And that's why I was listening to a podcast recently that had, is it Stephen Duchovny? Who was the star of the X-Files?
David Duchovny.
David, thank you. David Duchovny. And he has this podcast now that's called Failure or something about failure. And that's the big thing. It's how you learn from failure. So this is it. Not quite that, but that's what you're doing. So if you notice, keep yourself open to the experience and notice as you go through life, you'll start noticing what works. You'll start learning. I'll go back. Yeah. You do the notice, but after enough noticing, then you will learn what works to get you where you want to go. That's it. Now, when we're all young, maybe newlyweds, let's say.
Okay.
Right? And you get in an argument.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Get in an argument. Sometime, a few years out, this wisdom might show up to you, which is, I can either win this argument or I can stay married.
Yeah.
That's learning. Otherwise known as when to just shut up. Yeah. Let her go, because it really does. And so much of life is that, I'm going to go into this battle. And after enough of it, you go, well, I may be winning battles, but I'm not winning the war here.
Nope. Nope.
I'm doing it. Well, that's learning. Well, I can tell you that, but you're not going to learn.
No. Everybody's got to do their own learning, folks.
They're only going to get there by doing it. Now, Phil and I, we've been around the marriage block a long time.
Yep.
And so we learned that lesson many years ago. So we can say it, laugh about it, have a good old time. But newlyweds, nobody can tell them about it. They'll just think, too bad those guys were so, dysfunctional.
Yeah. And on the other hand, when you're using this model, we know that we know something's gonna show up for them if they use the model. We just know
it'll show up when you do enough noticing. So this is really about hello from Minnesota. Oh,
yeah, Sean.
So so you slow down. So what it does for you is slow you down, and you notice. Number one word is notice. The other thing that's been said about what we do is we're teaching people noticing.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody knows what noticing is, but not everybody does noticing. You got to get it up to sort of Zen level noticing. And how do you do that? Through learning.
Yep.
Once again. You just keep doing it and you get it. I can't. This one Crowdcast will not get you there.
Mm-mm.
But notice it's pretty cheap on the old. What does your brain burn?
Glucose.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap on the glucose.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, brain's okay with that, noticing stuff.
Your brain's okay with noticing.
It doesn't have to do much, just kind of notice.
It doesn't. Once you get into it a bit, it doesn't avoid it.
No.
Real hard thinking is an aversive act,
Oh.
and your brain will stop it, and you'll feel relief.
Yep.
Most any of us that have done it, you know. Well, that's why we break off a difficult task and go play with our phones.
Yeah.
Because we're on one level, folks, in case you didn't know it, you're greatly reducing your glucose use of your brain. And it burns like what, 2/3 of your energy or something? It's
a humongous amount of calories being burned.
Now, and so we evolved to avoid burning too much glucose.
Yeah.
So we intellectual humans are always running up against a brain that doesn't want to burn that glucose.
Yeah. So that means that we're not thinking we can just be oh, I'm conserving my glucose.
I like it. A t-shirt. I'm conserving.
Cool.
My point in all that silliness is, best I can tell, their brain doesn't mind noticing.
No.
It's not an aversive act. It's not a glucose heavy act. So you'll probably do it. But the elements of the noticing seem to be important.
Yeah.
That is, notice who's important to you. Notice your yucky stuff. Notice your relief moves. Notice your satisfaction. If you want to go advanced, notice your 5 senses experience.
Yeah, you want to go up there and do that.
Notice your mind at work. I mean, you really get good at noticing your mind. It's sort of like an entertainment center. And it won't shut off. It's like an entertainment center with no off switch.
Yeah, you can't find the switch. You can't pull the plug out. The batteries never run down.
No, it keeps on going.
Churning stuff out.
And so, if you can get to where you're noticing it, getting sort of a chuckle out of the home entertainment value, which takes a little bit of noticing, but you can get there with some practice.
Oh yeah,
that's it. This stuff, folks, is probably what like meditators are trying to get at. So this has also been referred to as meditation without the meditation.
Right.
Or
we like to call it street level mindfulness.
That's another one. Street level mindfulness.
Taking mindfulness to the streets.
Right. So you don't have to.
Yeah.
Get it out, draw the diagram, write it down. Maybe write it first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening or something. Yeah. Draw it. I do it. I play with it.
Yeah, you look back over your day. Okay.
So, you just play with it. But it's a model. But you are modeling yourself. Meaning, out here on the model, there's who's important to me. There's my main yucky stuff. There is my main relief moves. There is my main satisfaction move. I can see them all. I can notice all of those. And then just go on about your business.
You're done. You're done.
And that's the hardest part.
Yeah. Yep.
Your thinking mind will want some.
It's the
animal. It was some rockets and shit go off. Fireworks to go. No. I want to keep it up, keep doing it, and you will learn over time. Patience. Maybe it's a patience thing.
There you go.
Of that poster. What is that? Lord, grant me patience, but please.
Oh, the Serenity. Yeah, Serenity prayer.
No, the sticker,
Oh, the
which is
patience.
Lord,
Oh,
Lord, give me patience, but please hurry up.
right.
And boy, don't we Americans know that.
Bigger, better, faster, more.
I want patience and I want it now.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's tough. We laugh about it, but it's not easy. But draw out the matrix and play with it.
Yep.
Mainly just play with it.
It's the best way to learn it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Then you'll learn over time what works to get you where you want to go. And it's your life, not mine, not Bill's, not anybody else's. Yours. Which is really weird on one level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if you're in a crowd, you're alone. Such as we humans in the mind. What are we going to do next time? Oh, I know what we're going to do next time, Phil.
Yeah.
We're going to start with it this morning, which is, I wrote it down, multitasking and the matrix.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about multitasking. And you all may have heard of it. You may be doing it now. Well, we know.
There's a good chance.
And we'll talk about what we've learned about multitasking over the years, and how you might apply the matrix to your noticing of your multitasking endeavors. Does that sound erudite?
Very nice way to put that.
In the meantime, remember, this is Friday, September the 6th,
Yep.
2024. And so if you're listening 5 years in the future, and we'll be back on Monday. I think next week we might actually do 2 of these in 1 week.
There is a good chance. We'll see.
We'll see.
What shows up, folks.
We're going to notice what shows up. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.